Hello everyone, it's David again. We are on Babylon 5, Season 5, Episode 18, The Fall of Centauri Prime. You get the very distinct impression that we are winding things down in the original series. And this is definitely one of those. We get a recap of a prior episode, something you don't get often in the Babylon 5 world. You usually had to go from one thing to another, and if you missed an episode, too bad. Of course, we didn't have, things back up. We had, of course, DVDs, which is how I got most of my Season 5. But, not the way we have today, whereas a week or so later it's back on Netflix or something like that. You can just watch it all over again. But, hopefully, knock on wood, we will have a recap or a retelling of the original Babylon story by at least one of the original creators, J. Michael Straczynski. But it's if promises made are promises kept kind of a thing. And hopefully within the next few weeks or months, we will find out the definitive yes, no, maybe on that one. But it's looking better now than it has ever looked at any time past that I can certainly recall. Anyway, Londo Mollari goes to rescue G'Kar from the orbital bombardment. Centauri Prime is paying the price for Londo's betrayal of Mr. Morden. Michael Garibaldi notifies President Sheridan about the assault on Centauri Prime and Delen's missing White Star. The Prime Minister says, "They say it's your time now," and of course he grabs him and says, "Who are they?" And he says, "Them," and you turn around, and there in all of his glory is the Drakh. So now we are all on the same page. We all know what Londo's price is going to have to be for what he did to the Drakh. And we cue the entrance. And who are they? And I'm going to paraphrase some of this. But he says, "We are a shadow of a shadow, an echo of what was. But then we remembered this place. We remembered you. And you are now what we need you to be, a beaten people." It's played by Wayne Alexander. It's played quite a few characters in Babylon 5. Most famously, Lorien, the first of the first ones. And he says they have seeded fusion bombs all over Centauri Prime. What would have happened if Londo had just called their bluff and still refused? They even, and the Prime Minister even says, who's going to know a few more dead bodies amongst all this ruin and destruction? Or is it necessary for timeline continuity that Londo continues on what his path is? It's Stalin said himself, I think it was, that, one death is a murder, a million deaths are a statistic. So could Londo have lived with a few more 100,000 deaths on his conscience? Or have the Drakh so infiltrated the Centauri royal court that it wouldn't have made any difference? They would have just stuck someone else up on the throne. And then Londo wouldn't have had a chance to put Vir in positions of power to take and eventually kick the Drakh off of Centauri Prime permanently. Well, we always say permanently, but if the Drakh learned anything from the shadows, and that's never put all your eggs in one basket, as we like to say. But I digress. President Sheridan arrives and orders a halt to the bombardment. The problem is the Centauri fleet is on their way back, and they are out for blood. The Prime Minister tells Londo, "You can blame me for anything you want. Really, I won't mind, because I'll know you had no choice at all." And he shows us his keeper for the last time. Keeper eventually falls off of him, and he dies. So now Londo has the perfect alibi. As we say, the dead tell no tales. Londo goes and bids an emotional farewell to Jakar. And we end, or I shouldn't say end, but we kind of wind our way down. The Drak inserts his keeper into Londo Mollari. So now they think they've got Londo by the cojones. He's not going anywhere. But as we all know, in the brief times in between when their keepers are alive, you can do a lot in that sort of a time period. But we got to save that for later. Different episode. A fleet of Centauri warships find Delen's white stars. And before they can fire, Lanier confesses his love to Delen, and she says, I know. But lo and behold, it was a tractor beam, and they are rescued. And she kind of puffed. Have you ever had that? I had one where she was what we call a gypsy or a Roma, and she was trying to ask me out. She said that I was, the most beautiful guy she had ever met before, and I was like, oh crap, what do I do now? Because, I didn't want to, just smash it in her face. No, honey, I'm gay. What's your problem? Kind of a thing. But then I thought, David, you're at work. Here's your automatic out. And I told her, I says, you know what? I'm very flattered, but I'm not allowed to date patients or their family members, because otherwise Providence could fire me and report me to the State Board of Nursing, and I could lose my nurse's license, which you can if you date a patient. That can absolutely, but nothing about their family members. But I wasn't going to let that little white lie, let me off the hook. If any of you have had something of a similar situation, go ahead and put that down below. It'd be interesting to see what happened to you and how you got out of it. Or did you get out of it? Did you end up marrying the person? But at any rate, Lanier's secret is now official, out in the open, stamped where we can all see it. Londo Mollari delivers a defiant inauguration speech and spirits everybody away as the bells toll. A montage of Londo Mollari's time on Babylon 5 plays, and you get the sniffles. We learned that over a dozen ships, because they're saying, here's all of the shadow tech left behind, what's going to happen? And Garibaldi says, well, why don't we just go to the Vorlon homeworld and see if they left anything behind? And Delenn says that over a dozen ships have been sent to Vorlon. They've all been destroyed before they could even get remotely close by the automated defense systems. And Lita pipes up, according to Lita, they can't go back for 1 million years to when they've earned the right to go there. And then at the end she snaps out of it like, don't ask me where that came from. I don't know any more than you guys do. So, deconstruction of falling stars can't go back for 1 million years. Damn it. It's just going to try and find the cure for all that ails you. But we can't do that until we've earned the right to go back there. So, at any rate, as we prepare to wind down the regular season and then transition into commentaries on the movies, as always, like, subscribe, share, and I will see you next episode, the few that we have remaining.